Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel today. We are obviously out of the studio. We got another really special video for you today. We are sitting with, let's see here, actor, producer, screenwriter, you name it. You've seen him in movies like Minority Report, Last Man Standing. We're sitting with Patrick Kilpatrick. Patrick, how are you today?
I'm great, Kevin. Better for talking to you, and it's a great privilege to talk to your organizational membership and your audience.
Well, we're really looking forward to have a conversation with you today. But before we do that, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe to these videos. We're trying to bring you the information, the education, and the culture on the Second Amendment community, and we need your help. We're trying to spread it to as many people as possible. We know that the algorithms love your likes, your shares, and your subscribes. And if you got an extra second, hit that notification bell. I know it's 2 steps to be subscribed to the channel, but you can get notifications when we post another video, so be sure and hit that notification bell to get those notifications. And also, we do have a word from the Police Credit Union. They got some great programs over there, so Jacob, why don't you go ahead and roll that for us? As the trusted financial partner for 70 years to law enforcement and their families, your membership helps continue the support of law enforcement officers throughout the state. As a member, you'll have access to all member benefits, including checking accounts with ATM fee rebates and no monthly fees, certificates with highly competitive rates, auto loans, home loans, online technology with 24/7 banking convenience, and much more. And don't forget, the credit union is now extending memberships to CRPA members. So join today at www.thepolicecreditunion.org. The link will be in the description below, and continue to discover the benefits of membership while supporting law enforcement officers today. So, Patrick, just I guess to get the context of everything, and I know that you've done a lot here just as far as shaping culture within movies and whether it's acting or producing or screenwriting, but I really want to get an understanding of where you're coming from personally on this. So, I mean, did you grow up with firearms? What is your background with firearms, and then, how does that end up getting incorporated into the work that you do?
Well, I grew up in rural Connecticut and Virginia, and I was very blessed, and my father had a fair amount of land, 3,000 acres, and so as a child, I was able to walk around that, and of course it was a different time then, so at a very early age, 8, 9, I had a .22 rifle and a side-by-side shotgun, and I would wander around the woods and do hunting, and that firearms were just part of the landscape. I don't even remember storage of firearms. They were just there in the home. And then I parted from any involvement with firearms for many years until I got into acting. And then I was always in action films, and they were always putting guns in my hands to play the part. And so I started wanting to have the greatest reality for the role. I sought out the Los Angeles Police Department to get some training, and I was exposed to Jim Fountain and John Pride, who were the weapons instructors at Los Angeles Police Department. And I became lifelong friends with them, and I became a student of them. And I found I really loved competitive and recreational shooting. And so I studied with a lot of police organizations and the Navy SEALs. I was also pro-military, and so I was doing work at the time, which was not particularly popular in LA, but my father, having been a World War II veteran, an underwater demolition team in World War II, I was very pro-military, pro-wounded warrior, and was involved in places like the Wounded Warrior Project, which was then called the Coalition to Salute America's Heroes. And so I had the opportunity and the privilege to shoot with veterans and police groups, and it enriched my life a great deal as a screenwriter. And of course, I would arrive on the set knowing how to handle firearms, knowing how to do that safely, and that helped a great deal to lend itself to the reality of my work as an actor and as a screenwriter. If I was doing a movie writing about police or writing about any action, then I knew a lot about firearms. And that took me out into the outdoor world, which I was eager to do, to get away from LA and into the sporting realm, quail hunting and pheasant hunting. And often that work in small towns in places like South Dakota or Texas is aligned with charity work, like a golf tournament. They'll have a quail hunt or a pheasant hunt to raise money for juvenile diabetes or something like that. So recreational and personal firearms use and those kind of things have been a big part of my life.
We've seen kind of a bifurcation within the community of some of these things that you're talking about. So I'm curious to get your perspective on the matter. Sometimes it's kind of like there's a community within the community, right? So you have the hunting community, you have the sport shooting community, you have the recreational community. You seem to be involved in all of those things. Is this with a certain group of people? Are you mingling with different groups of people, or since you've been doing this, have they all always just sort of been the same group?
It's a really, really insightful question. There's a group in Hollywood I call the Stalwarts, and they've been involved with firearms for a long time. Lou Ferrigno, Frank Stallone, Sylvester Stallone's brother. There's about 10 to 20 actors who are always shooting. The reality is that a lot of people shoot in Hollywood. They are just not outspoken about it, and a lot of them hunt as well. And I would say across the board, they're conservationists as well. So the stalwarts, if you will, the 10 to 20 of those actors are continually involved in sporting clays. Your audience may not know, but the shotgun sports have many different games and competitive levels. There's a solid, integral group that's involved in that. And the wonderful thing about it is once people are exposed to it, they see the sport aspects of shooting. I hosted an event called the Hollywood Celebrity Sporting Clays Invitational, a golf tournament, if you will, around a sporting clays tournament. And we had 2,000 people there, 160 celebrities, international press, and that kind of thing. So when people are exposed to that, they see the fun of it. So there's many different levels of people who are involved.
Well, and obviously we've continued to see legislation from Sacramento kind of shape the way that we're able to do these things in California. Growing up in Connecticut, moving to California, I'm sure was a culture shock in that of itself. Although you're pursuing something that you really want to do, I'm sure. So
Sure.
There's that certain level of focus. But what my question really is over the course of time, how have you seen the California legislature really shape these gun laws, and how have they affected you in the work that you're trying to do?
Well, again, a really good environment. It's been everything from absurdist comedy to the patently ridiculous. Gun laws are often fashioned by people who know nothing about the functionality of weapons. And I think that they're designed for, in large measure, for two things. One is to money grab from the shooting community as much as possible, and two, to provide inane obstacles to them performing their sport or their recreation. We've been through things like you had to have magazine releases on your ARs to, it was a felony if you had a magazine release. We've been through all sorts of guns that were vilified when, if it looked like it belonged on a ranch, it was perfectly okay. I'm thinking of like a a Mini 30 and an AR. They're essentially the same weapon, same caliber, but one looks like it's a ranch rifle and the other is kind of sexy and black, and that's the villain of all time. So I've watched it, I've followed it. I think it's a concerted effort to make it challenging and bureaucratically difficult for people to have the right to bear arms and also to perform their chosen sport. A lot of it just makes no sense whatsoever, and a lot of it is just to collect as much revenue as they possibly can. I mean, I recently had a personal experience with they put roadblocks between the legal transfer. California, as you know, has some of the most restrictive gun laws in America. I think it's New Jersey and California. Well, recently when I tried to purchase a hunting rifle, just a hunting rifle that I had a relationship with Savage, it was a bolt-action rifle, not your most lethal combat weapon. It's for hunting. Well, they put bureaucratic hurdles in the transfer of that, irrespective, not including background checks and all of that, but you're forced to do it 3 and 4 times, so you're paying 3 and 4 times the amount of fees. Not only that, but they do it in such a way that it puts a liability onus on the gun shop. So they're always doing things that are to scramble for more money and also to just make things more. I think they're hoping that people will just throw up their arms and go, this is too problematic, I don't want to get involved, but you persevere and continue.
I'm sure that's a wonderful byproduct of their plans for the legislation. But I'm also curious, I mean, how does it apply? Does it apply the same way into the studio or on site when you're shooting and trying to shoot films that have firearms in them? How have these laws translated to the actual making of movies?
Well, on a low budget level, you have to be very careful, but on a film, it's now a felony to take a functional firearm onto a movie set. It was never an issue for me because I took a wonderful fellow named Howard Coleman, who's a certified professional armorer, which is a good thing to have on a set. And I would pay him and he would come with me on the set, and then it becomes a legal situation. You don't want to be carrying firearms onto a movie set unless you have that person on the set with you to cover the legalities and liabilities of it. I will say that for movies, I'm directing a movie right now called Dying for Living, and we're mid-production. We chose this time to just use airsoft and to put the flashes and the gunfire in post-production wise, because that's where we are in the cinematic skill level now. There's many rationales for not having real firearms on sets. The Rust situation that just happened, which was a breakdown of basic safety, but your insurance rates go way, way down if you're using airsoft. And the digital post-production devices, flashes and guns, have gotten so professional that there's really no necessity to have real firearms on sets, in my opinion. There's some filmmakers who think that you get a different sound quality and things like that when you're recording. And of course, the actor is going to have to. This is another reason why it's very important for an actor. And when I've mentored young actors as a teacher, to get to know how to drive a motorcycle, to get to know firearms. And really that's the glory of it, because you're learning different skill sets. So I've been through combat shotgun, urban carbine, long distance sniping, pistol, rifle, all of that, because they all have intricacies, and you want to lend reality to the film that you're doing. So if an actor knows how to ride a motorcycle, knows how to use firearms, has had some martial arts training, when they get to the set, they're that much further along in the process, and that allows the production to move along more swiftly, and time is really a lot of money on film production. So it's had a significant effect. Fortunately, the technology of airsoft and things like that in post-production has allowed us to not skip a beat.
Well, it seems like you're extremely knowledgeable on what the laws are, which I'm sure is good when, you have to keep up with this stuff in order to stay safe and make sure that you're not breaking any of them. Where do you see the necessity level of an organization like CRPA, who's advocating for people's rights in California? Where does that sit on the hierarchy of necessity for you in this state?
It's absolutely vital. There was a time as a film company that we actually could get away with things that an individual might not have access to, and the ownership of certain weapons and things like that. But in a broader sense, if we don't have, and particularly in California, if you don't have organizations like the NRA and California Rifle and Pistol, and in California, it's doubly vital because the NRA, in my opinion, which I'm a lifetime member of, and I think does some good work despite some of the internal issues they've had lately, has to some extent considered California so sort of on the other side, if you will, that they don't concentrate their efforts here. Whereas the California Rifle and Pistol Association is the major player. And so I think it's really important. If we don't have organizations like that, and we're not supporting them, then we really are in dire straits. Because I don't like to say the other side, but the other rationale, because it's not always rational, is really devoted toward taking away our Second Amendment rights. And particularly in an environment where there are ill-advised policies which have fostered a rise in crime rates and have made major cities in California less safe. I think it's really important for people to support organizations like California Rifle and Pistol Association, to keep abreast of the legal issues that are being carried out by people who really don't know anything about gun functionality and don't have the interest of the populace at heart. So I think that it's really important.
I'm also curious, you've mentioned a couple of projects already that you've been involved in. What other types of nonprofits or foundations are you involved in that go towards helping people who tend to be within the Second Amendment community?
Well, I think there's an intrinsic link some way, at least psychologically, in pro-military organizations and pro-wounded warrior organizations, essential what I would call patriotic, pro-American organizations, which embody all types of people from all walks of life. So I've been involved literally in hundreds. One of the things about being an actor is you get asked to participate in a lot of different charitable endeavors, and I try to serve wherever I'm asked. And it extends to everything from animal rights to children's advocacy groups, because that's just my nature. And I think celebritydom, if you have any, is not really of much value unless you're doing something for somebody else. But California Rifle and Pistol Association, the Lifetime NRA, outdoor groups. There are quail groups that foster the environment for quail and pheasants I've been involved with. There's veterans organizations like Gallant Men, Coalition to Salute Americans Heroes, the Bay Area Builders, who build homes for wounded warriors that are challenge compatible from the ground up. Literally hundreds. I'm not saying that to tout my own horn, but over 35 years as an actor, there's been hundreds of organizations I've been involved with. That's one of those situations where I'd say list upon request. If you want a list, I'll send you a list.
Well, absolutely. Well, hey, I really appreciate you taking the time to come down here and do this video with us. Obviously, we're trying to bring all the culture that we can to this community. Films do shape culture, so I appreciate what you're doing, and good luck on your future endeavors. I appreciate you being with us.
Thank you. I appreciate being with you, too. And I would just finally urge citizens, if you're going to be considering yourself a citizen, that get involved with an organization like California Rifle and Pistol Association just to be abreast of the issues, because things are being done in order to affect your life and certainly affect the lives of your children and grandchildren.
Well, absolutely. I appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
And also, be on the lookout for a couple of new projects that Patrick has coming out. There's one called Nessie. There's one called Dying for Living. We have a teaser trailer for Dying for Living. It should be right around here. Go ahead and give that a click to check it out. We're going to play it now.
I know what you're thinking. Things have been messy. I agree. I might have handled it better. Been more compassionate.
I don't wish to vacate.
One turn of the sun. Then I will kill your delightful twins, your hot son, and your still smoking wife. Wow.
And if you like these videos, please, once again, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. As always, we're bringing the litigation, the legislation, the programmatic updates, as well as the culture to your doorstep every single video. We're trying to get this information out as much as we can. It really helps with the algorithms when you like, share, and subscribe. And again, be sure to click that notification bell so that you get the notification. Thanks, guys. We'll see you on the next one.